The warning lights painted Commander Vex Thora's face in shades of red and orange as another explosion rocked the ship. Her crew worked frantically at their stations, trying to keep the Starwind from tearing itself apart. They had been running for 3 days now, ever since the Crithian ambush near the Outer Rim colonies. Lieutenant Kale looked up from his engineering console, his face twisted with worry. The quantum drive cores were cracked and leaking radiation into the ship's lower decks. The shield generators had failed completely 2 hours ago. Even life support was starting to show signs of stress. They needed to land somewhere, anywhere, before the ship became their tomb. "Commander, I have found a system," called out Navigator Zin from her station. "It is marked as pre-contact, but they have basic space capabilities. It might be our only chance." Vex Thora pulled up the data on her screen. Earth, a small blue and green planet in an unremarkable system at the edge of Coalition space. The inhabitants had just started building orbital stations and had sent a few probes to their neighboring planets. They were centuries away from faster-than-light travel. But they were there and they were close. "How long until the drives fail completely?" Vex Thora asked. Kale checked his readings again. 4 hours, maybe 5 if we reduce speed. "But Commander, these humans might not even understand our technology. They are so far behind us." Another explosion interrupted them. The ship lurched to the side and Vexus Thora had to grab her chair to stay upright. Sparks flew from a control panel near the navigation station. They did not have the luxury of being picky about their rescuers. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. "Zin, prepare a distress signal in all common languages. Let us hope these humans are friendly." The Starwind limped into Earth's solar system like a wounded animal seeking shelter. They positioned themselves near the large gray moon that orbited the planet. Kale managed to keep the ship stable, but just barely. The hull was making sounds that no spacecraft should ever make. Vexus Thora authorized the distress signal. It went out on every frequency they could broadcast, a simple message asking for help and offering to share technology in exchange for repairs. Now all they could do was wait and hope the humans would respond. They did not have to wait long. Within 3 hours, a voice came through their communication system. It was speaking in a language the ship's computer needed a moment to translate. But the tone was warm and welcoming. "Known vessel, this is Director Linda Harper of the Earth Space Coalition, broadcasting from Houston Control. We have received your distress signal and are prepared to offer assistance. Please state the nature of your emergency." Vex Thora felt a wave of relief wash over her. They were willing to help. She activated the communications panel and spoke carefully, letting the computer translate her words. "Director Harper, this is Commander Vex Thora of the Coalition vessel Starwind. Our ship has sustained critical damage to our propulsion and life support systems. We require immediate repair facilities. We understand your civilization may not have the technology to help us, but we have nowhere else to go." There was a brief pause. Then Linda's voice came back and Vex Thora could hear the smile in it. "Commander, we may be new to this whole space thing, but we are pretty good at fixing broken equipment. We have an orbital station called Gateway 1, about 200 kilometers above the planet's surface. Can your ship make it that far?" Kale checked his readings and nodded to Vex Thora. "We can do it, Commander. It will use the last of our reserve power, but we can dock there." "We can reach your station," Vex Thora confirmed. "Thank you, Director Harper. You may be saving our lives." "That is what neighbors do, Commander. Gateway 1 is sending you docking coordinates now. We will have our best engineers ready to meet you. And, Commander, welcome to Earth." The Starwind's engines whined in protest as they pushed toward Gateway 1. The station grew larger in their view screen, a collection of modules and solar panels that looked crude compared to Coalition architecture. But it was solid and functional, and right now that was all that mattered. As they approached, Vex Thora could see human spacecraft moving around the station. They were small, chemical-powered vessels that would seem ancient to any Coalition citizen. But they moved with purpose and precision. The humans knew how to operate in space, even if their technology was primitive. The docking procedure was tense. The Starwind's maneuvering thrusters were barely responding, and Kale had to use every trick he knew to line up with the docking port. Human controllers talked them through it step by step, their voices calm and professional. When the docking clamps finally locked into place, the entire crew let out a collective breath of relief. "Docking successful," Zin reported. "The station is pressurizing the connection now." Vex Thora stood up and straightened her uniform. She looked around at her crew. These people who had trusted her to get them to safety, they had made it. They were alive. Now they just had to hope that these humans could actually help them. Kale, you will come with me to meet their engineers, seeing you have command of the ship. Everyone else get some rest. We have been through a lot. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. On the other side stood a group of humans in work suits. They were a strange-looking species, Vexithora thought. Tall and short, different skin colors, but all with the same curious and friendly expressions on their faces. One of them stepped forward, a tall man with kind eyes and stains on his coveralls. He was holding some kind of container that was producing steam. Commander Vexithora, I am Chief Engineer Danny Cole. Welcome to Gateway 1. He held out his hand, and what Vexithora's database told her was a greeting gesture. She clasped it, and Danny shook it warmly. We have been looking at the technical data you sent ahead. Your ship is in rough shape, but we think we can help. First, though, you look like you could use some coffee. Coffee? Vexithora asked. Danny smiled and offered her the steaming container. It is a human thing. Hot, bitter, and it keeps you going when everything else says you should quit. Kind of like you getting here, I imagine. Try it. Vexithora took the container and sipped carefully. The liquid was hot and had a strong, complex flavor that was nothing like anything she had tasted before. It was bitter, yes, but there was something comforting about it too. This is good, she said, surprised, right? Danny grinned. Now let us go take a look at your ship and see what we can do. I brought my best people, and we are all pretty excited to work on alien technology. This is going to be fun. As they walked toward the Starwind, Vexithora found herself feeling something she had not felt since the attack. She felt hope. These humans were strange and their technology was basic. But there was something about their attitude that made her believe they might actually pull this off. She took another sip of the coffee and followed Danny into the ship. Danny Cole stood in the engine room of the Starwind with his mouth hanging open. He had seen pictures of alien technology before, but seeing it in person was completely different. The quantum drive cores glowed with a soft blue light, even in their damaged state. The shield generators looked like they belonged in a science fiction movie. Everything was sleek and efficient and far beyond anything Earth had ever built. This is amazing, Danny whispered. He reached out to touch one of the core housings, then pulled his hand back. Can I? Lieutenant Kale nodded. Yes, but be careful. The radiation levels are still high in some areas. Your suit should protect you, but do not touch anything that is glowing red. Danny called over his team. Dr. Susan Morris arrived first, her eyes wide behind her safety visor. She was one of the best theoretical physicists on Earth, and she looked like a kid on Christmas morning. Behind her came Jake Peterson, young and eager, already taking readings with his scanner. Okay. So walk me through the damage, Danny said to Kale. What broke, how it broke, and what you need to get running again. Kale pulled up a holographic display that showed the ship's systems. Red indicators covered almost half the diagram. The quantum cores are fractured here, here, and here. They are losing containment, which means we cannot jump to faster than light speeds. The shield generators burned out when we overloaded them, trying to escape the Crithian attack, and the power distribution network is damaged in at least 20 places. Susan was already circling the quantum cores, taking measurements and muttering to herself. The principles here are similar to some of our fusion research. The containment field uses a rotating magnetic matrix. We have been working on something like this for the new reactor at MIT. Can you fix it? Vexithora asked from the doorway. She had been watching the humans work for the past hour, and she was impressed by how quickly they had understood the systems. Fix it? Danny grinned. Commander, I think we can do better than that. Jake, get me the specs on the Mark 7 cooling system we developed last year. Susan? What if we modified the containment field to include a secondary stabilization layer? For the next 3 days, Gateway 1 became a hub of activity. Human engineers worked alongside Kale and the Starwind's crew, sharing ideas and trying new approaches. The language barrier was a problem at first, but they quickly found that engineering had its own universal language. A broken component looked the same no matter what species you were, and a good solution was recognized by everyone. Jake proved to be a natural at understanding alien technology. He spent hours with Kale, the two of them sketching modifications on tablets and occasionally on the walls when they ran out of digital space. They developed a cooling system that combined human and coalition technology, using principles from Earth's experimental fusion reactors to stabilize the quantum cores. You humans have a strange way of thinking about problems, Kale said during one of their late-night work sessions. In the coalition, we follow the manufacturer's specifications exactly. But you ask questions like, what if we tried something different? Or why does it have to be done that way? Jake laughed. That is because we are too dumb to know what is impossible. We just keep trying stuff until something works. It is not dumb, Kale said seriously. It is brilliant. We have been using the same technology for hundreds of years because it works, but you look at it and see ways to make it better. In 3 days, you have improved designs that have been standard for centuries. Danny was having similar success with the shield generators. Working with Susan, they had figured out how to rebuild the burned-out components using a combination of coalition materials and human manufacturing techniques. But they did not just rebuild them to original specifications. They added modifications that would make them more resistant to the kind of overload that had destroyed them in the first place. The problem is heat dissipation, Susan explained to Vex's Thora. Your shields can handle enormous amounts of energy, but when they overload, all that heat has nowhere to go. We are adding a secondary cooling loop that will dump excess heat into dedicated radiators. It will make your shields about 15% bulkier, but they will be much harder to burn out. Vexithora looked at the modified design. It was not elegant by coalition standards. Human engineering tended to be more practical than pretty. But it would work, and that was what mattered. How long until we are operational? She asked. The cores will be ready tomorrow, Danny said. Shields the day after. We are also fixing the power distribution network. But that is easier. Give us 5 days total and you will be good to go. 5 days? Vexthora was shocked. Our own engineers estimated 2 weeks minimum, and that was in a fully equipped coalition shipyard. How are you doing this so fast? Danny shrugged. We are motivated. Plus, this is the most exciting project any of us have ever worked on. Do you know how boring it gets working on the same human technology day after day? This is like every engineer's dream come true. The work continued around the clock. The humans seemed to require very little sleep, sustained by constant cups of coffee and pure enthusiasm. Vexthora found herself spending more and more time on Gateway 1, watching the humans work and learning about their culture. Director Linda Harper gave her a tour of the station. It was smaller than coalition facilities, but it was well organized and efficient. The humans had built it in just 5 years, starting from almost nothing. They had bootstrapped their way into space through determination and cleverness. We know we are behind the galactic curve, Linda said as they looked out at Earth through an observation window. But we are learning fast. Having you here, getting to work with actual alien technology, this is going to advance our space program by decades. You are helping us far more than we are helping you, Vexithora said. Your engineers have improved my ship beyond its original specifications. The modifications they are making would be revolutionary in the coalition. Linda smiled. Then maybe we can help each other. You give us knowledge, we give you a new perspective on how to use it. Sounds like a fair trade to me. On the 5th day, Danny called Vexithora down to the engine room. The quantum cores were glowing with a steady, healthy blue light. The shield generators were online and showing green across all indicators. The ship's computer was reporting that all systems were not just functional, but operating at 112% of original efficiency. We did it, Danny said, grinning. Your ship is fixed. Actually, she is better than fixed. We took the liberty of upgrading a few other systems while we were at it. Your sensors are more sensitive now, and we improved your power efficiency by about 8% overall. Kyle was staring at his engineering readouts like he could not believe what he was seeing. This is impossible. These numbers should not be possible. Welcome to human engineering, Jake said, clapping him on the shoulder. We specialize in impossible. Vexthora felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. These humans, who owed her nothing, had not just saved her ship. They had made it better. They had shared their knowledge freely and had asked for nothing in return except the chance to learn. I do not know how to thank you, she said to Danny. Just remember us when you are out there in the galaxy, Danny replied. Tell people that Earth is here, that we are friendly and that we are pretty good at fixing things. That is all the thanks we need. That night there was a celebration in Gateway 1's recreation area. Human crew members mixed with Vexthora's people, sharing food and stories. Someone had broken out something called beer, which Vexthora found less appealing than coffee but still interesting. As she watched her crew laughing and joking with the humans, Vexithora felt something she had not expected. She felt like they were among friends. These strange, creative, generous humans had become friends in just 5 days. She raised her glass in a toast. To new friends and impossible solutions. The room erupted in cheers, and somewhere in the back, Jake and Kale were already sketching plans for their next project. The alarm caught everyone by surprise. Vex Thora was in her quarters on the Starwind, preparing for departure the next morning when the emergency klaxons started blaring. She ran to the bridge, her heart pounding. They had been so close to leaving safely. Report, she ordered as she slid into her command chair. Zin's face was pale. Commander, 3 ships just entered the system. They are Crithian warships. Dreadnought class. Vex Thora felt her blood run cold. The Crithians had found them. She pulled up the sensor display and saw 3 massive vessels moving through the outer system at high speed. They were heading straight for Earth. They are hailing us, Zin said, and they are broadcasting on all frequencies. The humans can hear this too. Put it through, Vex Thora ordered. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to Commander Drax, a Crithian officer she recognized from intelligence reports. He was smiling, which was never a good sign with Crithians. Commander Vex Thora, we have been looking for you. You led us on quite a chase, but it ends now. Surrender your ship immediately and we might let your crew live. As for these primitives who helped you, they will learn what happens when you interfere with the Crithian Dominion. Before Vex Thora could respond, another voice cut into the transmission. It was Director Linda Harper, and she sounded calm but firm. Crithian vessels, this is Director Linda Harper of the Earth Space Coalition. You have entered our system without permission, and have made threats against our guests and our planet. You will turn around and leave immediately or you will be removed. Drax laughed. It was a harsh, mocking sound. Primitives giving orders to the Dominion? Your entire fleet consists of 12 ships that still burn chemical fuel. We have 3 dreadnoughts, each capable of destroying your pathetic planet. You will stand down or you will die. Your choice. The transmission ended. Vex Thora immediately opened a channel to Gateway 1. Director Harper, you need to evacuate. Those ships can destroy everything you have built. This is my problem, not yours. Let me surrender and they might leave you alone. Not happening, Commander. It was a new voice, strong and confident. This is Admiral Patricia Hayes, Commander of Earth Defense Fleet. The Crithians made 2 mistakes today. First, they threatened our planet. Second, they assumed we would be easy targets. Let us show them why those were bad assumptions. Vex Thora watched in amazement as Earth's fleet began to move. 12 ships, just as Drax had said. They looked so small compared to the Crithian dreadnoughts. But they were moving with purpose, taking up defensive positions around Gateway 1 and Earth itself. Admiral, this is insane, Vex Thora said. You cannot win this fight. Please, save your people. Commander, with respect, you do not know what we can do. Patricia's voice had a hint of steel in it. Danny, are the modifications ready? Just finished the last one 20 minutes ago. Danny's voice came through. All fleet ships now have the shield modifications we developed. It is not as strong as the Starwind's shields, but it is a hell of a lot better than what we had yesterday. Vex Thora felt a chill. You modified your fleet when? About 10 hours ago, Linda said. When our long-range sensors picked up those Crithian ships entering the system. We figured they might be coming for you, so we got ready. Jake and Kale have been working non-stop to adapt the shield technology to our power systems. But you cannot possibly have weapons that can hurt them, Vex Thora protested. Their armor is too strong. Funny thing about armor, Danny said. It is designed to stop what people expect you to shoot at them. We have been reverse engineering some alien missile technology we picked up from a crash site last year. Never could get it working right until Jake and Kale showed us what we were doing wrong. We finished our first working prototypes about 3 hours ago. You humans are insane, Vex Thora said, but she could not help feeling a spark of hope. Yeah, we get that a lot, Patricia replied. Now we have about 40 minutes before they are in weapons range. Danny, how are the other modifications coming? The Independence and the Resolute both have the new hybrid weapons installed. It is not pretty, but it will work. Probably. Maybe. The odds are decent. Good enough for me. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. Battle stations. We are going to show these Crithians what happens when you threaten Earth. The next 40 minutes were the longest of Vex Thora's life. She watched as the human fleet made its final preparations. Engineers were still working on some ships right up until the last minute. It was chaotic and disorganized by coalition standards, but there was an energy to it that she had to admire. Kale appeared on her bridge, looking exhausted but excited. Commander, I have been working with the humans on their battle plan. They want the Starwind to fight alongside them. Our ship against 3 dreadnoughts? Vexathora shook her head. We would be destroyed. Not if we use the modifications, Kyle said. The humans upgraded more than just our engines and shields. They improved our weapons targeting systems and added some of their own technology to our particle beams. We are more dangerous now than we were before the attack. Vexathora looked at her crew. They were scared, but they were also ready. These humans had saved them, had befriended them, and now were willing to fight for them. How could they do any less in return? All right, she said. We fight. Zin, take us to the coordinates Admiral Hayes transmitted. Kale, get those weapons online. We are going to war. The Starwind moved into position alongside the human destroyer Independence. The ship was tiny compared to the dreadnoughts that were approaching, but Vexathora could see humans moving on its bridge through the view screen. They were smiling and joking with each other like they were about to play a game instead of fighting for their lives. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. The Crithians are in weapons range. Hold your fire until I give the order. Let them think we are going to surrender. Then we hit them with everything we have got. The Crithian dreadnoughts slowed as they approached Earth. Drax's face appeared on all channels again. Last chance, primitives. Surrender now or we open fire. Patricia's response was simple. Go to hell. The Independents fired first, launching a full spread of the new hybrid missiles. They streaked across space, their human kinetic warheads wrapped in alien energy fields. The Crithians' point defense systems opened fire, but they were calibrated for pure energy weapons. The missiles were physical objects, and the point defense could not track them properly. 6 missiles hit the lead dreadnought. Explosions rippled across its hull and atmosphere vented into space. The Crithians were no longer smiling. All ships fire at will, Patricia ordered. Earth's fleet opened up with everything they had. Missiles, particle beams, railguns, and weapons that combined human and alien technology in ways no one had ever tried before. The Starwind added its own firepower, its enhanced weapons tearing into the damaged dreadnought. But the Crithians were not helpless. They returned fire with their plasma lances, and the space around Gateway 1 lit up with weapons fire. A human corvette called the Phoenix took a direct hit and exploded. Another corvette, the Eagle, was crippled and had to fall back. This is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the Resolute. I am going in close. Cover me. Vexathora watched in horror as the human destroyer accelerated toward the second dreadnought at full speed. The Crithians focused their fire on it, but the Resolute's new shields held. Just barely, but they held. Ryan, what are you doing? Patricia demanded. Something stupid, Ryan replied. But if it works, it is going to be awesome. The Resolute came within knife-fighting range of the dreadnought, so close that the larger ship's weapons could not track it properly. Then Ryan opened fire with every weapon his ship had, targeting the same spot on the dreadnought's hull over and over again. Come on. Come on. Jake's voice came through from where he was stationed on the Starwind. That is it, keep hitting the same spot. Their armor can regenerate, but not if you keep damaging it faster than it can repair. The armor gave way, and the Resolute's weapons started hitting internal systems. Explosions bloomed inside the dreadnought as power conduits and weapon systems overloaded. All ships focus fire on that dreadnought, Patricia ordered. Ryan just gave us an opening. The combined fleet poured fire into the wounded dreadnought. Its shields collapsed, then its armor failed. The massive ship started breaking apart, pieces of it spinning off into space. 2 dreadnoughts left, Vexathora thought. And somehow, against all odds, we might actually survive this. The destruction of the first Crithian dreadnought seemed to hang in space for a moment, a cloud of debris and fire expanding slowly in the void. Then reality caught up with everyone, and the battle resumed with even greater intensity. Commander Drax's face appeared on all channels, and he was no longer smiling. His expression was one of pure rage. You will pay for that, primitives. All ships, maximum firepower. Destroy everything. The remaining 2 dreadnoughts opened fire with everything they had. Plasma lances cut through space, turning one of Earth's corvettes into vapor before it could even react. The human ship called Liberty took a glancing hit that sheared off half its hull. It tumbled away, atmosphere and debris trailing behind it. Liberty is down, someone reported. We have lost contact with the Ranger too. Patricia's voice remained calm despite the losses. All ships execute Pattern Delta. Do not give them stationary targets. Keep moving, keep firing. The human fleet scattered, each ship moving in unpredictable patterns that made them harder to target. It was not elegant, and it was not what coalition tactical doctrine would recommend, but it was effective. The Crithians were used to fighting enemies who followed predictable strategies. The humans were doing everything wrong according to military theory, and it was keeping them alive. Vexithora guided the Starwind alongside the Independence. Captain Ryan Mitchell had pulled back to rearm after his daring attack, but his ship had taken damage. Atmosphere was venting from several hull breaches. "Ryan, your ship is compromised," Vexithora said. "Fall back to Gateway 1 for repairs." "Negative, Commander. We still have weapons and engines. We can still fight." Ryan's voice was determined. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Amy Rogers, was calling out targeting solutions in the background, her voice quick and precise. "Your crew will die if you stay in the battle," Vexithora argued. "Maybe, but if we run, everyone dies. Earth, your crew, all of us. So we fight until we win or until we cannot fight anymore." It was insane. It was suicide. It was the most human thing Vexithora had ever heard. "Understood. The Starwind will cover your approach. Let us make them regret coming here." The two ships moved together, combining their firepower against the second dreadnought. The Starwind's enhanced particle beams carved glowing lines across the Crithian shields, while the Independence launched missile after missile. Behind them, other human ships added their own attacks, creating a web of weapons fire that the dreadnought could not completely avoid. On Gateway 1, Danny and Susan were watching the battle and coordinating with the fleet. Jake was still on the Starwind's bridge with Kale, the two of them working together to maximize the ship's combat effectiveness. "We need something big," Danny said. "We are hurting them, but not fast enough. At this rate, they will wear us down before we can destroy them." Susan was staring at her displays, her mind racing through possibilities. The quantum cores. The Starwind's quantum cores are generating massive amounts of energy. What if we could weaponize that? "That would destroy the ship," Danny said. "Not if we do it right. Look, the cores are designed to create a stable field for faster-than-light travel. But if we destabilize one of them in a controlled way, we could create a massive energy pulse, like a bomb, but we could direct it." Danny looked at the numbers she was showing him. "That is crazy. The timing would have to be perfect, and someone would have to stay on the ship to trigger it manually. The blast would kill anyone within a kilometer." "I know, but it might be our only chance to take out a dreadnought before they destroy the fleet." Danny opened a channel to the Starwind. "Commander Vexithora, we have an idea. It is a terrible idea, and you are probably going to hate it, but it might work." Vexithora listened as Danny explained the plan. He was right, she did hate it. The plan required the Starwind to get close to a dreadnought, destabilize one of its quantum cores, and then detonate it. The explosion would be powerful enough to cripple or destroy the enemy ship. But it would also destroy the Starwind and kill everyone on board. "No," she said immediately. "I will not sacrifice my crew or my ship." "What if the crew evacuated first?" Jake's voice came through. He had been listening to the conversation. "We get everyone off the ship, set the Starwind on automatic pilot, and let it fly itself into the dreadnought. Then we trigger the core remotely." "Remote triggers will not work," Kale said. "The Crithians will jam any signal once they realize what we are doing. Someone would have to stay on board to trigger it manually." There was silence on the channel. Everyone understood what that meant. It was a suicide mission. "I will do it," Jake said quietly. "I am human. This is my planet they are threatening, and I am the one who helped modify the quantum cores, so I know exactly how to destabilize them." "Absolutely not," Danny said immediately. "Jake, you are 24 years old. You have your whole life ahead of you. And I want to have that life on a planet that is not destroyed by aliens." Jake replied. "Someone has to do this, Danny. It should be me." Vexithora felt something break inside her. These humans had already given so much to help her and her crew. They had shared their knowledge, their resources, and now one of them was willing to give his life. "There has to be another way," she said. "There is not," Jake said. "Not one that gives us a good chance of winning. I have already run the numbers. This is our best shot." Admiral Patricia broke into the conversation. "This is my decision to make, and I'm not sending a kid on a suicide mission." "Jake, I appreciate the offer, but no. With respect, Admiral, you cannot stop me. I'm already on the Starwind, and I am the only human here who knows how to do this. By the time you send someone else, it will be too late." Patricia was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was heavy. Are you absolutely sure about this, son? Yes, ma'am. Tell my parents I love them and that I died doing something that mattered. I will tell them you died a hero, Patricia said. All ships cover the Starwind. She is making a run at the second dreadnought. The Starwind broke away from the fleet and accelerated toward the Crithian ship. Escape pods launched from its sides as the crew evacuated. Vexithora was in one of those pods, and it felt like tearing out her own heart to leave her ship behind. But Jake had been right. This was their best chance. Jake, are you sure you do not want to evacuate? She asked over the comms. Positive, Commander. Besides, someone has to fly this thing, and your crew taught me how to pilot it. I have got this. The Starwind raced toward the dreadnought, dodging weapons fire with Jake at the controls. He was flying like a maniac, pulling maneuvers that made the ship's structure groan in protest, but he was keeping it intact, keeping it moving toward the target. 30 seconds to impact, Jake reported. His voice was steady. Kyle, I am starting the destabilization sequence now. Tell me if the numbers look wrong. Kyle was in an escape pod monitoring the Starwind systems remotely. Numbers look good, Jake. You are doing great. The core is responding exactly as we predicted. Good. That is good. Jake's voice had a slight tremor now. Hey, Cal, you are a pretty cool alien, you know that? I'm glad we got to be friends. I am glad too, Jake. You are the best engineer I have ever worked with. The Starwind was close now, so close that the dreadnought was trying to move away. But Jake had timed it perfectly. The ship was moving too fast for the massive vessel to avoid. 10 seconds, Jake said. Tell Danny and Susan that their crazy idea worked. Tell everyone back on Earth that they should keep reaching for the stars. We belong out here. 5 seconds. It has been an honor. The Starwind hit the dreadnought at full speed and Jake triggered the quantum core. The explosion was like a small sun being born. It expanded outward in a sphere of pure energy that consumed both ships. The light was so bright that everyone had to shield their eyes. When the light faded, the dreadnought was gone. Just debris and cooling plasma where it had been. The Starwind was gone too, along with Jake Peterson, who had given his life to save his planet and his new friends. In her escape pod, Vexithora found tears running down her face. In the Independence, Ryan Mitchell saluted the empty space where Jake had been. On Gateway 1, Danny and Susan held each other and wept. One dreadnought remained, and every human in the fleet was now fighting with a cold fury that made even Vexithora afraid. The silence after the explosion lasted only a heartbeat. Then Admiral Patricia Hayes' voice cut through every channel, cold and sharp as a blade. All ships concentrate fire on the remaining dreadnought. No mercy, no quarter. We finish this now. The human fleet moved as one, every remaining ship targeting the last Crithian vessel. The attacks were no longer cautious or strategic. They were furious and relentless. The humans were fighting like they had nothing left to lose, and in a way they did not. Jake's sacrifice had shown them exactly what the stakes were. Commander Drax appeared on the screen again, but his confidence was completely gone. His face showed fear for the first time. You are insane. All of you! We are leaving. We are withdrawing. Just let us go. You came here threatening to destroy our world, Patricia said, her voice like ice. You killed our people. You made us watch a young man sacrifice himself to stop you. Now you want to leave? No. You do not get to just walk away from this. The Independence, the Resolute, and the remaining human ships tore into the dreadnought from every angle. Captain Ryan Mitchell's ship was barely holding together, but Ryan kept pushing it forward, kept firing every weapon that still worked. Lieutenant Amy Rogers was routing power from life support to weapons, squeezing every last bit of firepower out of their damaged systems. Vexithora's escape pod had been picked up by the human corvette Defender. She immediately asked to be put on the bridge so she could help coordinate the attack. The human captain, a woman named Lisa Grant, agreed without hesitation. Commander, we could use your expertise, Lisa said. You know Crithian ships better than we do. Where are their weak points? Vexithora studied the tactical display. The dreadnought was damaged but still dangerous. Its shields were holding, and it was starting to maneuver toward the edge of the system, trying to get far enough away to jump to faster than light speed. The engines, Vexithora said. If you can disable their engines, they cannot escape. Target the rear section here. She highlighted an area on the display. That is where their main drive cores are located. But the armor is thick there. You will need concentrated fire. Ryan, did you hear that? Patricia's voice came through. Heard it, Admiral. Resolute is moving to attack position. Ryan's ship changed course, burning hard toward the fleeing dreadnought. Amy, give me everything we have got left. One more push. Power levels are critical, Captain, Amy reported. If we fire everything at once, we might blow out our own systems. Then we blow them out. Target their engines and fire when ready. The Resolute came alongside the Dreadnought and opened fire with everything it had. Missiles, particle beams, railguns, every weapon discharged at the same moment. The combined firepower overwhelmed the Dreadnought's rear shields. Explosions bloomed across the engine section. The massive ship shuddered and started to drift, its engines dark and cold. It was dead in space, unable to maneuver or escape. All ships, final attack, Patricia ordered. End this. Every human vessel that could still fire added their weapons to the assault. The Dreadnought's shields collapsed completely. Its armor began to fail. Secondary explosions rippled through its hull as internal systems overloaded. Commander Drax appeared one final time on the screen. His bridge was on fire behind him and his uniform was torn and bloody. "This is not over," he snarled. "The Dominion will come for you. You have made enemies of a power that spans 1,000 systems. You will regret this day." "Maybe," Patricia said. "But you will not be there to see it." The Independence fired one last missile. It struck the Dreadnought's reactor core, and the entire ship vanished in a massive explosion. When the light faded, there was nothing left but debris. The battle was over. Earth had won. For a moment, nobody spoke. The surviving ships drifted in space, their crews too exhausted and too shocked to react. They had fought 3 dreadnoughts with primitive technology and improvised weapons. They had lost friends and comrades. But they had won. Admiral Patricia's voice, when it came, was tired but steady. "All ships, damage report. Begin search and rescue operations for any survivors from our lost vessels. And someone find out if any of the Crethean crew made it out. We are better than they are, so we save who we can." The next several hours were a blur of activity. Rescue operations. Medical teams working on the injured. Engineers assessing damage to the surviving ships. Vexathora helped wherever she could, but her mind kept going back to Jake. He had been so young, so full of energy and ideas. Now he was gone, atomized in the explosion that had saved them all. Director Linda Harper called a gathering on Gateway 1 that evening. Everyone who could attend came, filling the station's largest observation deck. Through the windows, they could see Earth turning peacefully below them, unaware of how close it had come to destruction. Linda stood before the assembled crews, human and alien. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was strong. "Today we lost good people. The Phoenix, the Liberty, the Ranger. 17 brave souls who gave their lives defending our home. And we lost Jake Peterson, who made the choice to sacrifice everything so that we could survive." She paused, looking around at all the faces watching her. "But we also showed the galaxy something important today. We showed them that Earth will not be threatened. We showed them that we can stand alongside any civilization in space. And we showed them that when humans make friends, we stand by them no matter what." She looked directly at Vexus Thora. "Commander, you and your crew came here strangers looking for repairs. You found friends. We want you to know that Earth will always be a safe harbor for you, and for any other peaceful travelers who need our help." Vexathora stepped forward. "Director Harper, Admiral Hayes, all of you. My people owe you a debt we can never repay. You saved us, you improved our ship, and you fought beside us when you had every reason to simply hand us over to the Crithians. That young man, Jake, he died to save my crew and your planet. I will make sure his sacrifice is remembered throughout the Coalition." Admiral Patricia stood up next. "We need to talk about what happens now. The Crithians know about Earth. They know we have some advanced technology, and they know we are not going to roll over when threatened. They will come back, probably with more ships. Then we get ready for them," Danny said. He had been quiet until now, but there was fire in his eyes. "We learn everything we can from the Starwind before Commander Vexus Thora leaves. We build better ships, better weapons, better defenses. Jake showed us what is possible when we are willing to push past what we think we can do. We honor him by keeping that spirit alive." Kyle spoke up from where he stood with the Starwind's crew. "I have been talking with my commander. We would like to stay here for a while longer if you will have us. We can teach you more about Coalition technology. We can help you prepare for what is coming. It is the least we can do." "We would be honored," Linda said. "But there is something else we need to consider. Earth is not part of the Galactic Coalition. We are still technically an undiscovered species. This battle is going to change that. The Crithians will report what happened here and word will spread." Vexthora nodded. "That is true. The Coalition High Council will want to investigate. They will want to know how a pre-contact species acquired advanced technology and defeated Crithian dreadnoughts. Then maybe it is time Earth joined the coalition officially, Patricia said. We are not ready to be a major power, but we are ready to be part of the galactic community. And we could use some friends out there who can help us against the Crithians. The council can be difficult, Vexthora warned. They move slowly and they do not like surprises. But I will speak on Earth's behalf. I will tell them what you did here, and I will recommend that you be granted full membership status. After today, no one can claim that humans are not ready for the galaxy. The gathering ended with solemn toasts to the fallen. Vexthora found herself standing at an observation window with Danny and Susan, looking out at the stars. Jake would have loved this, Susan said quietly. He always wanted to see Earth become a real spacefaring civilization. He used to talk about it all the time. He made it possible, Danny said. Everything we learned from the star wind, all the modifications we made, it will advance our technology by decades. Maybe centuries. He gave us that chance. Vexthora raised her cup of coffee. It had become her favorite human drink over the past days. To Jake Peterson, engineer, friend, hero, may his name be remembered among the stars. To Jake, Danny and Susan echoed. Outside the window, the debris from the battle was slowly being cleared away. Earth's fleet was damaged but intact. Gateway 1 stood strong, a symbol of humanity's determination to reach beyond their world. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, word was spreading about the small blue planet whose people fought like demons to protect their friends. 3 months passed after the battle. Earth changed more in those 90 days than it had in the previous 50 years. Gateway 1 expanded into a massive complex that combined human construction with coalition design principles. New shipyards orbited the planet, where human and alien engineers worked side by side building the next generation of Earth's defense fleet. Commander Vexthora had expected to leave after a few weeks, once the Starwind was resupplied and her crew was ready. Instead, she found herself staying longer and longer. There was always something new to see, some new collaboration between her people and the humans. And there was the small matter of representing Earth to the Galactic Coalition. The Coalition's response to the battle had been exactly what Vexthora predicted. The High Council was shocked, concerned, and deeply curious about how a pre-contact species had acquired such advanced capabilities. They sent Counselor Tirith, a senior diplomat known for his careful judgment, to investigate. Tirith arrived on a Coalition cruiser with an escort of 6 warships. It was meant to be impressive, a show of power. But when his ship approached Gateway 1, even the counselor had to admit he was impressed by what the humans had built. Director Linda Harper met him at the airlock, along with Admiral Patricia Hayes and Commander Vexthora. Tirith was a tall, gray-skinned being from a species that had been part of the Coalition for over 2,000 years. He carried himself with the dignity of someone who had seen everything the galaxy had to offer. Then Danny Cole handed him a cup of coffee, and everything changed. "What is this?" Tirith asked, sniffing the dark liquid suspiciously. "Coffee," Danny said with a grin. "It is a human thing. You're going to love it or hate it, but you should definitely try it." Tirith took a cautious sip. His eyes widened slightly and he took another, longer drink. "This is remarkable. What is it made from?" "Roasted plant beans. We have been growing them for centuries." "Welcome to Earth, Counselor. Come on. Let me show you what we have been working on." Over the next week, Tirith toured Earth's facilities. He watched Danny and Susan demonstrating their hybrid propulsion system, which combined Coalition quantum technology with human engineering solutions. He saw the new shield generators that were more efficient than anything the Coalition used. He visited the shipyards where human workers were building vessels that incorporated the best of both civilizations, but what impressed him most was the training center where Coalition engineers were learning from humans. Kyle was leading a class on creative problem-solving, teaching alien students to question assumptions and look for alternative solutions. The concept seemed to resonate with species from across the galaxy. "This is extraordinary," Tirith said to Vexthora as they observed one of the classes. "In all my years with the Coalition, I have never seen such rapid technological advancement. And the way humans approach problems, it is revolutionary." "They call it thinking outside the box," Vexthora said. "They are very good at it." That evening, Tirith met with Earth's leadership in Gateway 1's conference room. Linda, Patricia, Danny, and several other key figures sat on one side of the table. Vexthora and Kale sat with them, having been invited to participate as friends and advisors. I have prepared my report for the High Council, Tirith began. I will recommend that Earth be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Coalition, with a pathway to full membership within 5 years. Provisional? Patricia asked. What does that mean exactly? It means you will have access to Coalition technology, trade, and diplomatic relations. You will be under Coalition protection, and you will be expected to follow Coalition laws and protocols. However, you will not have voting rights on the High Council until you complete your integration period. Linda exchanged glances with Patricia. We appreciate the offer, Counselor, but we need to be clear about something. We are not joining the Coalition just to be protected. We want to be partners, not junior members. Tirith raised what might have been an eyebrow. You defeated 3 Crithian dreadnoughts. I think the Council understands that Earth is not a typical pre-contact species, but you must understand. The Coalition has protocols that have worked for thousands of years. We cannot simply ignore them because one species is exceptional. Then maybe it is time to update those protocols, Danny said. No offense, Counselor, but from what Vexthora has told us, the Coalition has been doing things the same way for a very long time. Maybe too long. You have all this amazing technology, but you stopped asking how to make it better. That is a rather bold statement from someone whose species just discovered faster-than-light travel exists, Tirith said, but his tone was more amused than offended. It is true, though, Kyle spoke up. I have learned more in 3 months working with humans than I did in 10 years at Coalition Engineering Academy. They have a gift for innovation that we have lost. Tirith was quiet for a moment, sipping his coffee. When he spoke again, his voice was thoughtful. Perhaps you are right. Perhaps the Coalition has become too comfortable with the status quo. But change is difficult, especially for an organization that spans hundreds of species and thousands of systems. Then let Earth help start that change, Linda said. Give us full membership now, not in 5 years. Let us share our methods and our perspectives with the whole Coalition. Yes, we are new to this. Yes, we still have a lot to learn. But we bring something valuable to the table. And what is that? Tirith asked. Hope, Patricia said simply. We show that there are still new ways to solve old problems. We prove that cooperation between different species can lead to breakthroughs that benefit everyone. And we demonstrate that even a young civilization can stand up to threats if they are willing to fight for what matters. Tirith looked around the table at the earnest, determined faces of Earth's representatives. He thought about everything he had seen over the past week. The innovations, the enthusiasm, the genuine friendship between humans and Vexthora's crew. And he thought about the coffee in his cup, this simple thing that had somehow become symbolic of everything humans brought to the galaxy. I will revise my recommendation, he said finally. I will propose that Earth be granted full membership immediately, with the understanding that you will share your engineering innovations and training methods with the entire Coalition. But I must warn you, this will make you targets. The Crithians already hate you. Other powers may see you as threats, and some Coalition members will resist the changes you represent. We figured as much, Linda said. We are ready for it. There is one more thing, Tirith said. The Coalition will need a memorial to honor those who died in the battle. It is our custom to commemorate those who fall defending Coalition space. We have already planned something, Patricia said. She activated a holographic display that showed a design for a monument. It would be built on Gateway 1, visible to every ship that approached Earth. At its center would be the names of all who died in the battle, human and alien alike. And at the very top, in letters that could be seen from kilometers away, would be one name, Jake Peterson. He gave his life so that Earth and the Coalition could stand together, Patricia explained. We want everyone who sees this memorial to remember that. To remember that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who are willing to sacrifice everything for others. Tirith studied the design for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. It is fitting. I will make sure the Council approves the funding for its construction. The treaty was signed 2 weeks later, in a ceremony broadcast across both Earth and Coalition space. Councillor Tirith represented the High Council. President Karen Foster signed on behalf of Earth, and Commander Vexthora stood beside them as a witness and friend to both sides. The terms were generous. Earth would receive full access to Coalition technology and would be allowed to establish embassies on Coalition worlds. In exchange, Earth would open training centers on Gateway 1, where coalition engineers could learn human methods. Joint research projects would be established, combining the resources of both civilizations. But the most important part of the treaty was the Mutual Defense Clause. Any attack on Earth would be considered an attack on the coalition, and Earth, in turn, pledged to come to the aid of any coalition member under threat. After the ceremony, there was a celebration that lasted well into the night. Human and alien crew members mingled together, sharing food and stories and drinks. Danny spent most of the evening explaining Earth's various alcohols to fascinated alien guests. Susan gave an impromptu lecture on human history to a group of coalition scholars. Kale and several other coalition engineers traded jokes with their human colleagues. Vexthora found herself standing at her favorite observation window with Linda and Patricia. They were watching the first joint patrol depart, a mixed force of human and coalition vessels that would patrol the outer system together. "We did it," Linda said softly. "We actually became part of the galactic community." "You were always part of it," Vexthora said. "You just needed someone to notice. I am glad it was me who found you." "So are we," Patricia said. "Though I have to say, when you showed up asking for repairs, I never imagined it would lead to all this." "Neither did I," Vexthora admitted. "I thought you were a primitive species who might be able to patch a few holes in my hull.